Great stuff. Hi, Carlos.
Hello.
Can we start, as always, with your team news, please? Any new issues coming out of the game the other day?
No, after the game the other day, the only change that Pritchard was playing some minutes with the B team and he feel like one injury. That's why he cannot be with the team in terms of the availability of the players. So the only player that moved out of the team right now is Alex Pritchard. Alex Vallejo continue with the same problem, with the same injury after the concussion. We don't have still the confirmation from the medical staff to bring him with the team. So we are not going to have any of these two players. And Sonogo is one player that still is not going to be with the team.
Do you know how long Sonogo might not be with you then? Do you know the prognosis there?
We expect to have him in the next week. It's a pity that he couldn't arrive on time to that game, but it's not going to be a long-term injury. That this is the most important thing. It's just one cut in the feet, but he is not allowed to train yet.
And what are the medical team telling you about Vallejo and where he's at in his availability then?
He continues having some of the consequences of the concussion, especially in the way that he can have the normal view of him to scan the pitch. He has lost a little bit of this angle of vision. He's going to have one scan on Monday, and after the scan on Monday, we'll see if everything is fine or we need to wait more.
Is that a little bit concerning? It's been quite a while now, hasn't it? We know concussions are a very tricky injury to try and resolve. Has that been a little bit concerning then?
I said that it's a dangerous injury and I need to follow the medical advice.
In terms of your performance the other night, the second half was a very good performance, wasn't it? A much stronger performance. How much does that put the players that you brought from the bench in your mind for a possible start? I'm thinking of Rolando Aarons and Sorba Thomas.
I think if one team can compete and perform well in one game, you need to have players that from the bench, they can help you. As soon as you start to don't have players that from the bench can help you, you are going to be more weak team. And it's important for the players to give the right steps. And one thing is to compete in the first 11, another thing is to compete from the bench. And I think it's important to have, like you said the other day, players that from the bench help the team to perform better.
But if you started those players, you could perform better from the start, could you not? Is that a bit of a too simple way of looking at it?
We never know. It's too simple for me too. Because it's like you don't have this type of relation. Not everyone maybe have the experience enough to be in the first 11. Some of the first 11 maybe they were working a good job, and that's why after you can make more impact. It's not the same when you are drawing, losing 2-0 and you go to the game. So the only reaction that you need to do is to be brave and to go and attack and to give everything. But it's true that even in the second half we scored just one goal in one set piece situation. So I always try to respect. I always try all the players. I try to evaluate how they are performing. I try to see how they progress in the weeks, how they progress in the different games. And again, for me, it's very important to have players that can, especially in that moment of the year, because if you don't have anyone that you know and you feel that is going to bring you energy from the bench, I don't think it's going to be positive to be strong as a team if you don't have this feeling from the players.
When we talk about that second half performance, how much confidence do you take from that? How much confidence do your players take from that against a very good side?
I think I like the other day the performance of the team. I know in the first half we lose more balls than we should lose, and at the same time we did a couple of mistakes that cost a couple of goals. In the second half we were more brave. They didn't use the counter-attacks. The accuracy for me of Bournemouth in the first half was too high. The accuracy of Bournemouth in the second half was just different. And sometimes the result is going to maybe move the feeling in one way or another way. I remember that Bournemouth have good chances in the second half too to can score. They didn't do. And we created more chances than we were creating in the first half. So for me, the team attacked in more aggressive style in the second half than in the first half, because it's true that one of the changes that we did was take out Emon Green, who is a central back, who was playing as a right back, and put one winger in his position, who was Aaron Rowe, who was playing as a left winger and after was playing as a right back. Then allow us to can bring one winger directly in the same position, who was Sorba Thomas in that moment of the game. So every time you change the team, you change the option that you want to have in the pitch, because the behaviors are going to be just different. So sometimes the players feel or suffer the consequences or accept or they help about the consequences of the formation that we do in one way or in the other way.
When we look at the players that you brought from the bench, they've got pace, they've got that electric electricity that you want to see from players, haven't they? And they can have a real impact, as you say there as well. What do they have to do to be in a position to start for you then, if we are talking about that? What do they have to do to get to a point where you would say, particularly at this time of a season when you really need some points now, yeah, I can trust him, I can put him in from the start?
I trust in every player that I put in the squad. I trust in every player that I put in the bench. I trust in every player that I put in the pitch. So I don't think I don't have confidence or trust in the player that I bring. The only thing that for me, one very important thing for one team is to have different roles. I give different roles to the players, and what they have to do is to continue fighting for the roles when they are in the pitch, fighting for the roles when they arrive from the bench. So for me, this is very important. I like a lot when the players from the bench have this positive impact that you are telling to me, and I like when the players in the first 11 continue working for the team. So I am so happy to see that we have the option to compete well in the first 11 and after to have options from the bench, because it was something that maybe we missed during some moment of the year, but now we arrive to this key moment and we have the full squad to can have impact from the beginning and from the bench too.
Are you looking at any other results and scorelines at the moment? There was a big game last night, Coventry beating Rotherham United, which obviously impacts you on the Coventry and the Rotherham front. Are you paying attention to those games? How much are you looking at them?
Everyone is looking for the results. It's normal, the curiosity that everyone has will be, I will lie you if I don't tell you that you don't watch the result. But I will lie you if I will tell you that yesterday I was watching the game, because I didn't watch the game. I was watching yesterday when you don't have many time. I was watching and being 100% focused in Nottingham Forest, because it's the next opponent that we are going to have. It will be an interesting game because we know that we are going to play with Coventry, but still is too far the game that we are going to play with them. So now my full concentration is in the way that I have to be. That is in Nottingham Forest.
What about your players, though, and the impact the other results, knowing the other results might have on them? Do you have anything to say to them on that front of things?
No, I didn't talk with them about this. I understand that when you play in the championship, you follow the result in the championship. Even if yesterday the game was Watford Norwich, everyone is following. Everyone who is involved in the championship will follow the result. But I think my players yesterday, they have to use the time to recover well, to prepare well, to dismantle their bodies, to arrive today to the training in good conditions to training, and then to arrive tomorrow in the game to the 100% of the conditions too.
How big a relief would it be for you to get a win this weekend, get 3 points, and then to give yourself a real good opportunity to make sure you're in the Championship next season? How much do you need that, do you feel, as a group to lift your group at the moment?
I think it's very important to add points in that moment of the year without any type of doubts, because the more points you add, the more your future depends on you. We have now the opportunity to continue having our future in our hands. And when you have this option, what you need to do is to protect always this option. And we know that winning the games, adding the more number of points that we can, the future depends more in our hands, is more in our hands.
And what about Nottingham Forest as the next team you're taking on? What has your research told you about them?
I think it's a team that with the new coach, they have changed in the positive way. I think it's a team with a good organization in defense. I think it's a team that in the market, in the last market, in the summer days, bring many players, and after in the Christmas market, for me they did a very good 3 movements that for me improved the level of this squad. If you are analyzing the team, they keep having the same player that they were very close the last year to get the playoff, and to this group of players they are at some very positive for me players too that made that. Then that's why for me they are in the level of the position that they are having right now, knowing that at the beginning of the year was too difficult again for them. So we know that these periods of these results, for me, that this team suffered at the beginning of the year was not the normal results in terms of the level of the squad that they have.
And psychologically, how do you view playing a side who aren't necessarily fighting for automatic promotion or playoffs, and they're not fighting against relegation? They've pulled themselves away from that. How do you view it psychologically?
I think it's clear that both teams are going to play the game trying to get the 3 points. For them will be a good step, and for us it's key. And like we are going to be focused on the thing that depend on us. I can't tell you how we are going to leave the game. We are going to go to that game, going for everything, trying to get the result that we want to get.
Thank you, Carlos. All the best this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Johnny. Ricky, will you pick up from there, please?
Hi, Carlos. You okay? Just wanted to ask you about Pippa. Obviously, you said midweek that he was on the bench, but you didn't really want to use him, or you didn't really feel comfortable using him. Is he available tomorrow then?
Yeah. He's in better conditions. Arrived to this game in better condition than the other day.
Yeah. And just on Pritchard, I know you mentioned that he picked up an injury in the B game. What kind of injury was that?
He feel a kick in one of the muscles. He feel like a one kick in one contact situation, and they are going to make in the next Monday the scan to see how long can take.
Yeah. And obviously the B team yesterday, Josh Karoma got, I think, 30 minutes. How encouraging is that to see him back out playing again?
It's very positive. We know that he was long time without the team. It was a very long time injury, but we know how important he was at the beginning of the year. Something that he deserved to get because he was doing the work to score the goal, the work for the team, the runnings and everything that he saw in the pitch. That was very important because his job. We now the option to consider him for the last part of the season, because it's clear that if he didn't do the work that he did at the beginning, nobody will be now waiting for Josh Koroma. But he did a very good impact in the team, and his recovery have been very professional. Now he's going to have chance to play some minutes in the last part of the season.
And does that include tomorrow, or does that come a bit too soon for him tomorrow?
No, he's going to be available with the squad. He's going to travel with the team.
Yeah. Okay. And Carol Aiting, I know you mentioned him. He was on similar paths to Josh, but he didn't play for the B team, did he? Is he a little bit further behind? Is he likely to play maybe next week?
He's a little bit behind of him. We need to see how he progresses. We need to see the reaction of his knee to the accumulation of training. He continue to be working, but he's not going to be available with the squad.
Yeah. And just another player I want to ask you about was Mustafa Alaganju. Got a new contract today. Is he somebody that you're looking at for next season? Obviously, he's out on loan at Port Vale at the minute, but is he a youngster that you're excited about for next season?
I think from the academy perspective, all the decisions arrive from the people, the recruitment people in that area. I think it's something very positive to continue having extended contracts of players that are working with us, extend contract of the players that for me have potential. In this case, I think Mustafa is one player that has shown that he is brainless, has shown a good character, and I think it's a very good moment for the future of our club.
Just on the relegation fight, obviously you've kind of been dragged into it a little bit now. You said you weren't watching the Rotherham game last night, but do you feel like you're in this relegation fight, or is it just a case of a couple more wins and you'll be safe?
It's clear that if you are in the position of the table that we are, it's clear that we are part of this relegation parties. We would like to have more points now to tell you that no, that we cannot be in this part, but it's true that our position on the table shows clear that we are in that part of the table, and we are going to be fighting like this. The faster that we leave this position, the better for us, but we have to have the mentality to be fighting and to get our target, because it's the only important thing, arrive to the last game and to get our target.
Just wanted to ask you about your experiences when you were back in your playing days or back in Spain. Were you involved in relegation in battles, and have you got any experiences that you can look back on?
I think never the experience are in the same way. It's true that the first team that I arrived to Cyprus, we were fighting for the relegation. It's true that in the second team that I was in Cyprus, we were fighting the playoff in the relegation and worked very well. So I just said that this is one part of the journey as a coach, that sometimes you are going to be involved in this. You will prefer to be involved in another type of moments, of course. Yeah. But this is the situation that we have, and we are going to face this situation with all our best.
Cheers, Carlos. Good luck tomorrow.
Welcome. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ricky. Stuart, nice haircut, mate. We'll come to you.
Excellent. Thank you. Can I just ask Carlos, how difficult a decision is it when the season's coming to an end, when the games are so important, to judge when to bring people like Josh and Carol back into the team?
I think every decision that we are making can have a lot of influence in the performance of the team or in the result of the team. That's why it's very important to be sure about the decision that we are making. For me, the difference is between the success of the file. Maybe a lot of difference are in relation with the decision that we are doing. So for me, it's very important to analyze what was how were the minutes of for example, Koroma the other day, how he feel physically, what is the medical advice after analyze the body about how he react, and always be making evaluation with the medical staff, with the fitness staff, about how we feel the player, even with the player too, to see how they arrive, to see how they feel, and to see how they are managing their minutes, and to be analyzing if they are still far or they start to be close to can be ready to help the squad in this very important moment.
Is it more difficult the younger the player is? Because I would imagine with a player like Josh and Carol Aiting, they're really desperate to get back and help. and maybe the more experienced players maybe have a better understanding of their bodies?
Yes, it's different because maybe they didn't have this type of situation before, but that's why we have the medical staff, that's why we have the fitness styles, because they are knowing that they are making some work and they know which values we can start to consider the player to go available for the team. So, for example, in the case of Josh Koroma, the values that he were doing before to play the game with the B team the other day, plus the value the other day with the B team, is showing that he can be available and is one option that we have. And in some moment of the year, if you don't try to push this, if you don't accelerate these decisions, maybe you're never going to have the possibility to use the player. So now is a moment for me to continue giving the steps, and that's why he's going to be involved with the team tomorrow.
And we spoke to Jonathan Hogg earlier. Can I just ask you a bit about his importance to the team, not just as a footballer, but his influence off the field as well?
I always say that to have one player like Hogg is one of the keys that we have in the dressing room, because he has the character, he has been living promotion, relegation, he has many experience in this club. He's one player for me, very professional, and to have always his character close to the team is something that this team needs.
And you mentioned there his experience in the club. Is that something that we maybe underestimate the importance of sometimes?
I think Hogg is important because he knows how to manage the game, because he has the experience he has lived many games in his career. And when one player have all this type of background, is because he is performing in all the different type of situations. He has the experience because he has been living this, because the minutes that he has in the back, because his qualities, and it's always important to have this experience or these skills close to the team.
And he was talking about how you've asked him to play different roles at different times this season. Have you been impressed with how how adaptable some of the more experienced players have been to perhaps playing in a slightly different way for you at times, whether that be Hogg or some of the other guys?
I was also impressed by the humble of this group of experienced players, by the open mind of this group of players, by the help and the support that this group of players are giving to the team, and by the effort that every time you put one of these experienced players in the pitch, they are doing. So I feel pleased, and I think that I receive a lot from this group of players.